Hello, Grots and Gits. I'm freaking pumped up about this one. So, I have been dodging and ducking and diving and dodging all the way to figure out some really good starting points for you guys to start using the new Tactical Brigade for Orks. This detachment has revitalized my love for the Ork community, and honestly, man, I'm so pumped about this one. So, let's break this bad boy down. Before we get into the actual list, if you guys want help with all of your list building, you can book coaching calls down below. You can also join our insane, amazing community in the Happy Krumping Wargaming Discord in the member section. The member section is where we do all of our conversations. I'm actually pretty sure I'm going to be closing the free section, seeing as we don't really use it that much. So everything's happening in the member section. It's a very active Discord, and if you guys want feedback on your orc list, on your Blood Angels list, or really on any list that we have a huge amount of Tau, we've got a huge amount of Astra Militarum, we've got it all. So come and hang out with us as we get better at Warhammer together. So what does this army do, the Tactical Brigade? It gives trickery to the orcs. This is something that orcs have not had. We don't necessarily have subtlety in our armies. This is an exceptionally flexible detachment, and it is going to do a lot of different things. First off, I heard some rumors online, and I just want to kind of squash these out. No, this does not deal the same damage as Warhorde. It just doesn't. It deals different damage. It actually plays outside the Waaagh much better than Warhorde does. For example, when you just give +1 strength on demand, suddenly things like commandos, which are very blah, when they go to strength 5 and reroll charges, and they throw their bomb swig in turn 1, and potentially throw grenades, and if you get a bonus CP from your Gretchen, they can also get sustained hits in melee, they can actually start punching up really, really hard. So what happens is you can actually do these trades in these games outside of without having to call the Waaagh for your whole army. So you can save the Waaagh for the turn where you really, really need it. And that is a very big deal. So you can build mini Warhorde with better non-Waaagh mechanics. And it's mini Warhorde because you're only going to get sustained hits on one of your units. You can play a shocking, pun intended, because you're definitely taking shock attack guns, shooting list. You are amazing at primary denial for very minimal points because you have the stratagem for +1 to your OC that you can use in any command phase. So you can drop a 5-man Stormboy unit on a objective that your opponent has OC 6 on, and then you can be like, in the command phase, boom, now I'm OC 10 and you don't score this objective. It's very, very powerful. And just another little cleanup, because some of the channels were out there saying some things, so I just want to kind of get this out there for you. Remember, when you're ordering your tactics, yes, you can put 2 on whatever orcs unit you want, but if you're using the stealth tactic or you're using the +1 to hit in range tactic, that only applies to infantry and mounted models. So if you were trying, for example, trying to give +1 to hit to a unit of mech guns led by a big mech, because you think, oh, it's going to be really cool because now my mech guns hit on 3s with rerolls to hit. Doesn't work because mech guns are not infantry. Even though you give the infantry keyword to the unit, it specifies in the tactics breakdown that it only applies to the infantry and mounted models. So the mech guns still would not get it, so you're still hitting on the force. Still doesn't mean the combination is bad, just for your planning for the tactics, though. That's how it works. All right, let's get into these freaking lists. List number 1. We have Boss Snickrot. 2 beast bosses. One of them is going to be a squad leader, and the squad leader is really important because he's now going to be leading commandos. Hint, hint. We're going to take a big mech with shock attack gun with the mech captain. This is going to give him the ability to attach to the Gits, and now the Gits get full rerolls to hit. We're going to take 2 war bosses, both with power claws. You're going to have 10 beast snagga boyz. That's going to be with the non-squad leader beast boss. 1 unit of boyz, 10-man storm boys squad, and then 3x5 Storm Boy squads. These are going to be doing our actions, denying primaries, doing things like that. And then the 10-man Storm Boy squad, that's going to be the unit that's going to be another unit that we can use to trade outside of the Waaagh, because you're going to give them reroll charges, you're going to give them +1 strength, they're going to get to advance, reroll charges, be +1 strength. It's going to be actually very good on the turn they go in, and you can spend the CP to give them mortals on the charge. So that 1 Stormboy squad is going to be really effective. I know some lists out there are floating the concept of just 60 Stormboys. I think that's a swing and a miss, but tactically using this 1 squad as a big punch at one point in the game, I think is great. I'm going to take 6 Breaka Boys, and they're going to be led by one of the war bosses. And then I'm going to take 10 Flash Kits, which is obviously being led by the big mech with shock attack gun. 2 squads of Gretchen, because this detachment is very CP hungry. We have to have all the CP. The commandos are with the beast boss. The reason why I'm leading them with the beast boss and not say like a squig on a beast boss on Squigosaur or a Def Killer Wartrike is because the Death Killer Wartrike doesn't really give you many options versus what the Beast Boss does. So the Beast Boss, he's infantry, he gets to move through the walls. The Death Killer Wartrike would have to go around them, and he's much harder to hide. The Beast Boss will allow you to basically nuke any heavy turn 1 if you get turn 1, which is very, very important because now suddenly those commandos will be at +1 strength and they'll be at +1 to hit. And he's still going to be fishing for his dev wins, right? So it really gives you the ability to punch up. So that's why I like the Beast Boss with the commandos. Then I'm going to have a 10-mana knobs led by the other war boss and 4 trucks. So this squad is actually a very pseudo war horde unit that hits very, very hard, but has a lot of trickery and shenanigans inside of it, along with an amazing overwatch and shooting phase from that big mech with shock attack gun leading all the flash kits. Because remember, the big mech with shock attack gun is also going to be rerolling his hit rolls. And that is pretty dang solid, especially when you stack on some of the other options in there where you start saying, oh, wait a second. Are you telling me that now my freaking flash kits, they're getting full rerolls to hit, which makes them super spicy in the overwatch and in the shooting phase, of course. You're also going to be giving them stealth, so they're going to be -1 to be hit in retaliation. And maybe you'll give them, oh, I don't know, like reroll charges in case you want to charge them or something. Then you got to think about what else happens here. Well, I've got a big mech with shock attack gun, which is going to be that sweet, sweet AP4 that's going to be shooting through all of your opponents. And then you also have the ability to have your once per game lethal hits on the whatever they're called. Flash kits. That's the one. Flash kits. They're going to get their lethal hits and their sustained hits. Then they're just going to fish for them. Guys, this is freaking amazing, and it's very, very powerful. And once again, that lethal hits actually will apply to the shock attack gun as well. Shock attack gun won't get sustained hits, but he will get the lethal hits because that applies to all ranged weapons equipped by models in the unit. And that's very, very powerful. Okay, let's go to list 2. List 2 is actually very similar to list 1, and then the last list is going to be very, very different for you. List 2 is, list blue. So this is actually going to be really similar to the first list. The main difference being I'm not going to lead the commandos because I am not sold that I need the commandos being led in this detachment. So I'm going to take Boss Necrot, 1 Beast Boss, big mech with shock attack gun. It's the same kit. 1 normal mech and 2 war bosses. Then we got a 10-man of Beast Snagga Boys, a 10-man of Boys, a 10-man of Storm Boys, 3x5 Storm Boys, 6 Breaka Boys, 5 Burna Boys, 10 flash kits, 2x11 Gretchen, 10 commandos, 10 knobs, and 4 trucks. So this gets us just a little bit of an extra unit there. And it's also going to decrease the it's going to decrease a little bit of the damage we can do turn 1, but the move blocking is going to stay the same. You're still going to be able to go into a lot of targets with those commando squads turn 1, and it's just going to give us that extra little action monkey or unit that's going to be in a place. I'm not really sure which style I like more, but these two lists are very similar. So if you like this style, just choose which one ever scratches your fancy. Now this next list is going to be exceptionally different. Check this one out. This is what I call the Danny Devito. All right. First off, we're going to take a Beast Boss, and he's going to be leading the Beast Snagga Boys. And then we're going to take a big mech in Mega Armor with the Mech Captain Enhancement. So he's going to go with the Flash Kits. So now those Flash Kits are going to be rerolling all hit rolls to wound. It's the same combo, so they're still great in Overwatch as well. But now they're also going to get the benefit of being able to resurrect a model every single turn, and they're going to have the benefit of a 4-up invulnerable save in shooting. And you're going to stack that with the stealth that they're also always going to have. This suddenly starts getting very, very good and makes them actually significantly more challenging to deal with at range a lot of times. Doesn't mean they're impossible to deal with, but it makes them much more challenging to deal with. We're going to have 2 big mechs with shock attack guns, and those are both going to run with some tank bustas that we'll see later on. We're going to have a mech with the Gob Boomer so that he could be giving away the orders 18 inches away instead of 6 inches away. And then we'll have a single war boss with Power Claw. So 10 Beast Snaggas to go with the Beast Boss. 10 boys that are just going to be naked boys. They're going to be sticking objectives, and they're going to be useful for just doing activities around the battlefield and killing smaller infantry units. We're going to keep the same 10-man unit of Storm Boys, and then 3x5 Storm Boys squads. We have the 10-man flash kits that's going with the big mech, like we said. Just 11 Gretchen. I wanted that second squad, but it gets really hard when I start including the tank bustas. Then we're going to have 5 knobs that's going to be led by the war boss. Then the big one, we have 3x6 tank busters. The new tank busters are so much better than the old tank busters that I really want to start experimenting with how to drop them on the table. Now, in this particular detachment, all 3 squads of tank busters are going inside the battle wagon. 2 of them are going to be led by shock attack guns. Now, this battle wagon, I have a mech right next to it to give it +1 to hit. So this battle wagon has an adorable 15d3 rocket shots coming out of it, and 2d6 +2 shock attack gun shots coming out of it, all hitting on 4s. Now, once they disembark, suddenly those tank buses get a lot scarier because you're going to be able to activate their once per game pulse rockets to give all those the 5d3 rockets strength 10 AP3 with +1 hit and +1 to wound. And the shock attack gun is also going to be +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And it's also going to go to strength 10 AP5 once per game. So they actually get very, very scary. And remember, on the disembark out of the battle wagon, as long as it is before the battle wagon has moved, they actually can throw their squig bomb first as well. So suddenly these guys get pretty gross. And they're still rerolling hit rolls of 1 because they're led by the big mech with shock attack gun. Lastly, we have 3 trucks for transport shenanigans. I think I love this list. This is the one I'm probably going to be messing around with for a little bit, just because it is actually fairly scary orc shooting, and I'm curious if it's enough. I'm not sold on it being enough, but it might be, so I'm gonna mess around with it. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you have ideas for lists, make sure you join the members only section part of our Discord. You can join by signing up as a YouTube member or a coffee member in the links down below. Post your list up in the members section and get a bunch of feedback on how to operate them and what other people are thinking. And honestly, grab a few games with people while you're there. Guys, these are 3 orc lists, well, 2.5 orc lists, to get you started with the new tactical brigade. Because, guys, the orcs are back. Let's get into it. All right, until next time, krump on, baby. Bye-bye.